On today's episode, are the Charlotte Hornets way better than anybody possibly could have expected? Absolutely, but we're going to talk about just how good they can be on this episode of Locked On NBA Game Night.
When that final buzzer rings, you know it's time for Locked On NBA Game Night. All the post-game reactions to every game across the league, every single night, with insights only the hosts at Locked On can provide. It's the true NBA fans' one stop for all the action. Every game, every night. It's Locked On NBA Game Night. Tipping off now.
Welcome into Locked On NBA Game Night. I'm your host, Ryan Blackburn here. I am joined by Tony East of Locked On Pacers. We're very excited to bring you a 6-game slate here tonight. Got some exciting ones. Tony, live on the scene in Los Angeles, reporting on a barn burner of a game. I can't believe you went out there, Tony, because the Indiana Pacers are 5-24.
Yeah, but I get to go to LA for 3 days. I get to see the traded guys. I've never been to Crypto.com Arena, which I'll be there Friday. And importantly, before the game, I got to watch the Charlotte Hornets play basketball, which is a treat for all of us.
All of us. They have been tremendous so far. Basically, you get through the first 20 games of the season, and they've turned into an absolutely elite squad. Been a lot of fun to watch. They take down the Boston Celtics by 30, 118-89 tonight. Got some insights from John Corrales here. Very excited to hear what he has to say for Locked On Celtics.
All right, everybody, pull out your bingo cards. Let's play the game. Why the Celtics lost. Couldn't shoot. They were 10 of 36 from three. They couldn't rebound. They missed 40 shots in this game, and they only had 9 offensive rebounds. That's a staple for them. They couldn't turn the other team over. 3 turnovers forced for 3 points before garbage time. Wow. So the Celtics didn't turn the ball over. It didn't get the Hornets to turn the ball over. They didn't rebound their own misses, and they couldn't shoot. It was their absolute worst loss of the season. Only Derek White came to play. The bigs were awful. Mamish Keita, Nikola Vucevic, Luka Garza, all of them were terrible. This is what the Celtics would look like if you strip away all of the positive things that have happened for them this season. Just one of those nights, but I'll be talking about it on the Locked On Celtics podcast.
Woo! That is an interesting one from John Corrales. The Hornets do that to teams now. They're the team that is the bully, Tony. They seem to be finding ways to turn a really good Boston Celtics team into a team that you would not expect to be blown up by 30 on their home court.
They have now smoked the Thunder and smoked the Celtics and beat the Pit. They just beat everybody. Are you aware of this, Ryan? What do you think their record is when all 5 of their starting 5 play in the game? Just play.
You know, I've seen this stat before floating around. I'm not sure where it's gone to at this point. Is it like 20-2 or something like that?
I think that's when they all start in the game.
Okay.
When all of Diabate and LaMelo and Khan and Miller and Bridges just play in the game. 24-9. It's very that's any setting, and they were bad at the start of the season. They're over 500 now. This team is awesome. They just thumped the Celtics, and to me, their offense is just unstoppable. Any possession, any of these guys can get off a 3 or create a 3, and they can all make them. And in this game, you get 4 from Khan, you get 4 from LaMelo, multiple from Miller. Bridges wasn't even that accurate, but just they are that threatening at all times with a jumbo creator. They're so hard to stop. Their defense doesn't have to be that awesome, to the point about Corrales saying, the Celtics don't typically turn it over that much. They had a bunch in this game. You just lose, because that's not how the Hornets are awesome. They're usually awesome. They just score a bunch. They're legit. They're really good. I know everybody has talked about it to this point, but they are now doing this to the point of this isn't just a thing. They're smoking really good teams.
I mean, this is a really impressive performance, a balanced performance from their main guys. 20 points from Concanipple, 18-7-4 from LaMelo Ball, 18-5-2 with 3 steals from Brandon Miller. They're pretty efficient. They had a pretty impressive from Kobe White. Hey, remember Kobe White coming off the bench now for the Charlotte Hornets, and the rich just keep getting richer in terms of scoring caliber guards from the perimeter. It's been really interesting. I want to share a couple stats with you. 14 players in the NBA are attempting 8+ 3-pointers per game this season, and the Hornets have 3 of those guys. Wow. They are 4th in offensive rebounding rate and leading the NBA in defensive rebounding rate so far this season. They also allow the fewest free throw attempts per game in the NBA. They're big, they're athletic, they're surprisingly disciplined for a young team. I've been really impressed with this group. I think that they have obviously a very bright future, but it might be a bright present given the way that they have gone so far.
So they get more chances than you on the glass. They don't give you easy free throws, and they make more threes than you. Sounds like a good way to win a basketball game.
Great modern basketball right there.
And for our theme of the day, they're 32-31 now. Like, you see Miami and Orlando looking back over their shoulder. Atlanta's got the exact same record. The Bucks, who are like, Giannis is back, desperate to make the play, are like, we can't catch them. Like, we can't do it. They're that good. And so some poor Cavs, Knicks, Pistons, Celtics is going to have to play this team and beat them 4 times. And I will probably pick the home court team to win that series, but it will not be a fun pick. Like, they are legitimately very good. And we'll talk about a lot of those teams today.
They're certainly going to challenge, and one of the teams that they're probably going to challenge is the New York Knicks, who went down to the wire with the Oklahoma City Thunder today. They end up losing to the Thunder, the defending champions, 103-100 at Madison Square Garden. You had Ben Stiller tweeting about free throws. You had a whole bunch of Knicks fans tweeting about free throws as they are wont to do, and as the Thunder draw the ire of the opposing fans. But Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's on the borderline of achieving history now at 26 points and 8 assists. He has been on this 20-point streak for a long time, and he is nearly there in terms of breaking, I believe it's Wilt Chamberlain's record. Like, the dude is unbelievable. And what Shai continues to do for this team in terms of not just like, they have a great defensive infrastructure around him, but he uplifts their entire offensive infrastructure himself and has like firmly entrenched himself as a candidate for best player in the NBA, even as somebody who covers Nikola Jokic.
Yeah, he's amazing. He's so good. And he's guards, man. Like, usually guys who score at this level and are lead initiators are like, meh, defenders. Like, he's a legitimately good defender on the best defensive team in basketball. Look, I will admit that because I was watching Hornets Celtics and then it was at Pacers Clippers. I did not watch much of this game, but I'm surprised there's a lot of free throw belly aching. Maybe I missed the individual plays, but Shai took 7 free throws, and 2 of these appeared to be from being in the bonus, and 1 was a tech. So he took 4 free throws from shooting fouls.
It's really not that bad, and that's the thing. Is like so many of these fan
bases. I didn't see it. Like, maybe the calls themselves were terrible. I don't know that.
It's they're waiting for, a lot of times, and as somebody who's had to constantly deal with this and will have to constantly deal with this, every fan base is waiting for it to happen. And the moment you see it happen, you're like, oh, see, I can't believe it happened to us. Yeah. And so now the Knicks had chances. They had two opportunities in the final 6 seconds of this game, and they got 2 great 3-point looks. Better than you could possibly ask for. Ultimately, OG Anunoby bricks the last one. He went 4 of 13 from 3. The Knicks did not shoot as well as they needed to. Karl-Anthony Towns fouled out in this game, only attempted 8 shots himself, though he did grab 9 offensive rebounds and avoided turnovers in this game. 0 turnovers for Karl-Anthony Towns. So kind of a surprise there based off of what the Thunder do to you. Do you think the Knicks might be afraid of this Charlotte Hornets team if they were to face them in a playoff series?
Man, I'm a pretty big Knicks believer generally. I mean, they just have a lot of alignments they can get to with their multiple stars to split up their rotation in a postseason setting. I watched them in the conference finals last year, obviously. Look, the Thunder, if you don't make threes and win the turnover battle, it's going to be tough because of how good their defense is. They did win the turnover battle, but they didn't make, as you said, many threes. But they generate good threes, like a lot. Like Brunson on his own can get to his, and his gravity gets it for everybody else. Towns taking 0 is very weird. But they have guys who can take and make them. They just have to do so. And getting, gosh, I can't even do this math quick enough. Is this 5 of 21 from Anunoby, Hart, and Bridges? Like, you lose. You lose when that happens. And that clearly happened in this game. And so I do think this team has been susceptible to lulls all season. Their bench has been a big part of that to me. And they finally figured out the right group there. Diawara up. Yep, he's awesome. Shamit's really good. Alvarado's great. Like, they have a better bench than when they were really kind of limping through without Shamet, and Clarkson was up and down and all that. But they are going to have to make shots. I know every team's going to have to make shots, but the Knicks specifically with the way they play are going to have to really make shots. I mean, they dominated the points in the paint battle in this game. They did a lot of stuff very well, and they still lost because they couldn't shoot. So the way that they play specifically requires their offense and their shooting to be pretty helpful, and it was not in this game.
Yeah, understandable for sure when you're facing the best team in the NBA and one of the greatest defenses that we've really ever seen in these recent years. Then it's going to be very tough for just about anybody. So tell you what, let's take a break, folks. When we come back, we're going to check in with some of the other Eastern Conference kind of play-in hopefuls and fringe playoff contenders to see, do we believe in these teams while the Charlotte Hornets just keep streaking? We'll be right back here on Locked on NBA Game Night. But first, I want to tell everybody a little bit about 5 Hour Energy. So excited for the 5 Hour Energy flavor draft here. 18 different flavors to choose from, including new options like Confetti Craze, Fruity Rainbow, Cotton Candy. There's something for just about everybody. The board is set. The flavors are ready. And I've got my number one pick for the 5 Hour Energy draft. I'm going to give... Ooh, man, I had this one and this is pretty simple for me. Hawaiian Breeze. Hawaiian Breeze is the one. Feel the breeze, taste the caffeine, made with passion fruit, orange, and guava flavors. It's sweet, yet smooth, tangy, yet tart. You get all the good stuff. You want something that you're absolutely going to remember, and this one you're going to remember. But make sure not to do not sleep on Confetti Craze. I love me some Confetti Craze. It's that vanilla birthday cake flavor. Like, you're not expecting that to be like, you're expecting it to be overpowering. With this, you're not going to get that. It is absolutely exactly the right amount of sweetness. You get those rich vanilla notes. Awesome stuff with Confetti Craze, and awesome stuff with 5 Hour Energy shots that give you a boost of flavor with 0 sugar. Find your new flavor with 5 Hour Energy shots, available online at 5hourenergy.com or on Amazon. We are also brought to you today by Game Time. There's nothing like being in an NBA arena, the crowd, the energy, the moment. Getting tickets, though, that part has not always been so simple. That's why Game Time has become the go-to app for scoring tickets fast without the hassle. It puts the advantage back where it belongs, with the fans. If you pull up the NBA Game Time app, pick an upcoming NBA game and get tickets, you can have them locked in within minutes. I love seeing the all-in price up front. No surprise fees at checkout. You get to see the view from your seat before buying, and it makes the decision so easy. Everything feels quick, intuitive, and stress-free from start to finish. So take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. That's code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today, and remember, it's gametime.co, not .com. We'll be right back on Game Night. All right. Folks, we are back, Locked on NBA Game Night. Thank you so much for tuning into the show. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Really appreciate it. Also, make sure to check out the Everydayer Club. All of these have launched and have been up and running for over 3 months now. We've been so happy with the results, so happy to cultivate the individual communities. Make sure to go check that out, and make sure to go hop in some Discords, talk some trash. That's the best way to do it. All right, Tony, we've had some fun matchups here in the Eastern Conference. Another couple of matchups. One that I was very interested to see whether this team was going to be able to hold on. It was the Philadelphia 76ers. They survived the Utah Jazz. That was not what I was expecting based off of the way that the Utah Jazz had played my Denver Nuggets over the course of a couple of days ago. The Jazz are feisty. The Jazz are a little bit better than you would expect, and the Sixers, as injured as they are, they started Adem Bona tonight in place of Andre Drummond. Actually, Andre Drummond got moved to the bench. That's an interesting call from Nick Nurse. Tyrese Maxey led the way with 25 points and 6 assists, as he often does, but it was mostly a defensive shootout between these two teams. Got some interesting stuff here. Want to let you know, Mark Farzetta of Locked on Sixers has more.
One wants to look at a Sixers Jazz game and say, "Ooh, the Sixers just squeaked by." But On a night where the Sixers roster is so depleted, you're already without PG, you're already without Embiid, you don't have Kelly Oubre, and now you also don't have BJ Edgecombe. Go out there and find a way to win the basketball game. I don't care if you just got blown out by 40 points by the Spurs at home. Find a way to win the game. That's exactly what the Sixers did. Tyrese Maxey had a team-high 25 points in the victory, but the unsung hero off the bench, a guy you could call the player of the game, no doubt, Jabari Walker. Walker carried his meaningless, quote-unquote, fourth quarter performance against the Spurs directly over into this game against the Jazz, and for the first time in his career, post back-to-back 20-point games. Not only that, he had a double-double against the Jazz with 22 points and 10 rebounds. He, Adem Bona, and Quentin Grimes, as well as Tyrese Maxey, helped close the game out late to make sure the Sixers didn't let this one slip away.
Good stuff from Mark there. Always appreciate his insights on the Sixers. Tony, what'd you think of this game when you caught it?
Truly not like the same vibe of him. I mean, I think that when you get smacked the way that they did, the next game is always important. And it's hard for me to balance the fact that I think they should be crushing the Utah Jazz. I think the Nuggets should have too in that insane game that you referenced earlier. Keontae George is very good. The rest of the Jazz players, particularly on defense, are not. You'd like to see a big bounce back after you get completely pantsed on national TV by the Spurs. And yeah, they come in with no Edgecombe, with no Embiid, with no Paul George, with no Kelly Oubre, right? 4/5 of their starting five unavailable. That is obviously a different challenge. So I think that it's right to be smiley about the result for Philly. But the way that, Maxey has an off night, he can't really get going. Like all their starters, not all. Some of their starters are really struggling. They really need Jabari Walker to squeak this one out. I think they would hope their depth is a little better than that, even though I think that with their current injury state, any win that they will take and smile.
100%. I will defend the Utah Jazz here. They are surprisingly feisty, surprisingly feisty with, and obviously the stuff with Jokic and Keontae George went pretty viral around everywhere, but they compete, they fight. They really are putting in a lot of effort. And so I'm not surprised that the Sixers were struggling to score. And that was a little bit of a slog. Yeah, they've got some.
The Jazz aren't a good defensive team. That's their
the thing. Is they shouldn't be this and Denver scored 128 the last time. It was really a defensive issue for Denver, obviously. But no, it does feel like the Jazz are finding ways to keep it competitive, despite the fact that they have been clearly tanking over the course of several of these times. And what? I mean, no, we would never cop to that. That's for sure. But either way, Sixers, good bounce back for them after getting demolished. We'll see if this continues. If you're starting Adem Bona, Dominic Barlow, and Trendon Watford at the same time, it's going to be a tough sledding, I think, for you offensively for sure. But next up, we've got the Hawks dominating the Milwaukee Bucks, even with Giannis Antetokounmpo. It felt like Giannis and the Bucks got off to a really good start against this Atlanta Hawks team. They were leading in the first quarter 38-25, but Hawks won every quarter after that, including a 32-18 third quarter, and just really took over the game. And by the end of it, it was kind of a laugher. There was very little reason for them to have their starters out there at that point. They just did a really good job. You're able to catch this one at all? I mean, Giannis, it does seem like he's on a little bit of a restriction, only played 26 minutes, but it's minus 24 in that time, and 24, 5, and 4 is a pretty unremarkable night from one of the best players in the world.
Yeah, the Bucks imploded in the second half. They didn't have Kevin Porter, which hurts their offense, but the Hawks flipped. The Hawks were down 16 in the second quarter, and they were up 23 pretty in the middle of the second half. So a 39-point swing, to me, guided by Dyson Daniels, who was a sick defender in this game. And for all the belly aching about how inefficient he's been at times this season, the three has not been falling. He's barely taking them. He's 12% from three. It's comically bad. He's still so good. He can create. He is such an elite defensive creator. He had 3 blocks in this game. He did a great job making Giannis have to work in this game. So Giannis was very efficient, but only 4 assists. He had some turnovers, right? That really changed the game because the Bucks don't have and didn't have a lot of other creators outside of Brian Rollins, who was okay. And so if you can have somebody slow down Giannis, you're going to have a very good chance to beat the Bucks. In this case, they came back from a significant part down, and they got great contributions from their ball handlers, who are routinely very good for them. Their bench was really good too. But that was the game. They were not able to slow down the Bucks at all. when they were down, like you said, really huge at the end of the first quarter. But as soon as Dyson Daniels got online, I thought the Hawks did as a team in general, and the Bucks are just so limited in what they can do, especially like KPJ. Like their third best initiator tonight might have been Kyle Kuzma. And I'm not even stretching the truth on that
Hey,
one.
16 points on 8 shots for Kyle Kuzma. Don't be slandering his name now.
Change the Bucks combo now, though, Ryan. Is it over?
Yeah,
they might be able to make the plan. It might be over.
I mean, if you're looking at the standings, if you're trying to figure out exactly what's going on with them, it's not super encouraging. I'll say that. Like they may not be able to reach it.
6 wins behind the surging Hawks, who have won 4 or 5 in a row, and the more surging Charlotte Hornets, and above them, you think they're catching the Heat or the Magic? Like those teams aren't super inspiring, but they're better than the Bucks. Like it's getting close to over. Like they're banking on like a very good player getting hurt on the Hornets or Hawks. Like that's their only chance.
At some point, I would expect them to shut Giannis back down, like for a pretty unsurprising reason. If you're 5 games out and you get eliminated at that point, so we'll see what happens with them. Which of those teams in the play-in? I mean, the Hawks, very impressive, have continued to like. I mean, I know the Hornets won 6 in a row. Hawks have won 5 in a row. Like they've been pretty good to get back over 500 themselves. Are they an impressive team to you? Who's more impressive, you think, between them and the Sixers and some of these other teams in this range?
Yeah, the Sixers, I think, have the highest peak. I mean, Embiid's been awesome at his best this year. Maxey is maybe going to make All-NBA. Edgecombe's been up and down, but has super high moments, and their role players are pretty good. But man, it's hard not to buy this Hornets hype. Like, you know, it seems like it's so fresh and new, but this is, you know, half the season at this point. Like this is 30-ish of their 60-something games. When they have all their best players, they're very good. So I'm inclined to give them the edge of it might be too late for them to catch Philly and actually get to 6, but they might be good enough to be like the best team of that group, if that makes sense, to actually make the postseason. But that race for the 6 seed, maybe even 5, we'll see if Toronto can hold them off. I think they can. It's going to be fascinating because the Hornets are that good, and the Hawks, maybe they'll put it all together. But there's certainly a bunch that is ready for their pick to come from the Pelicans and start soaring next year, I would say.
I'm very much looking forward to it. This is always fun down the final stretch of the season to see what kind of storylines you get in within the playoff storylines. Obviously, everybody's looking at the top, but so many of these different layers now with the play-in and the playoffs and shifting seeds and things like that, it creates some of these interesting storylines that we didn't have before. So I'll be watching it very closely. All right, let's take another break. When we come back, we are going to discuss the West Coast Blues, I will say. We'll be back here on Locked on NBA Game Night. All right. This podcast is brought to you by Intuit TurboTax. It's tax time. And for a lot of us, the old way of doing taxes is a lot. Trying to book an appointment that's not the most convenient, sitting in a waiting room with a stack of papers, emailing back and forth and wondering if they really get your situation. This is the time you're getting a major upgrade. Intuit TurboTax now has in-person locations nationwide. You can meet face-to-face with a real tax expert, and your documents get uploaded straight to your TurboTax app on the spot. And just like that, you're done. Your TurboTax expert works to get you every dollar you deserve, while you get real-time notifications as you go about your day. It's the relief of walking in and meeting a real person and walking out knowing your taxes are being handled right. Head to turbotax.com/local to find a store near you and book your appointment. We'll be back here on Locked on NBA Game Night. Final segment, Locked on NBA Game Night. Thank you for tuning into the show. Okay, I teased it at the outro. The West Coast Blues. This has been a couple of situations. If the actual Blues team in Memphis that went into to Portland here, it's been a tough situation for them for sure over this. Actually, oh man, I actually have this flipped. Portland went to Memphis, so it really is Memphis Blues. We'll say that. Oh man, gotta love it. But let's start actually with Indiana at the Clippers. You attended this game. You had a good time at this game, covering the game, maybe not necessarily seeing it from the Pacers perspective. What did you see in this Clippers blowout?
First of all, I just saw myself figuring out why my mic wasn't working, so I'm sure I sound a lot better to you. now than I did for the first 20 minutes.
Don't worry. I thought that other game was in Portland.
So the Clippers scored 40 points in the first quarter, and this has been the Pacers since the All-Star break. They can't guard anybody, a potted plant, you, me, anything. Like, it's been brutal, and they actually got it to within 6 in the third before the Clippers just finally made some threes and put the game away. Look, there was a lot of emotion in this game. Kobe Brown back in L.A., Vita Zubats gets a tribute video, Ben Mathurin and Isaiah Jackson both with successful performances against their own team. Kawhi was amazing. Kawhi Leonard is always amazing. But the Clippers are just better than the Pacers at this stage of the season, and the Pacers had their starters back. And I think they'll be very disappointed with how they played in this game. All of Siakam, Nesmith, and Nembhard actually played, which has not been a common thing this year, only 20-something games. A lot of their bench was available, and they still looked really bad on defense. And they have just been absolutely floundering since the break. They have not won a game since the break. That's their 7th loss in a row. So if there even is a story of this one, it's just that the Pacers defense is so inept. Like, they couldn't stop anything, and the Clippers made them pay. Mathurin against his old team with 23, quiet and easy 29. Like, everybody just got what they wanted. They had 30 points in the paint in the first quarter. In one quarter, they're on pace for 120 points in the paint. They only finished with 66, but comically bad defense from the Pacers again, who, if our theme today is playing, they will not be making the play. they will, the Clippers will, and they will not.
Yeah, Sun was getting real low on that one anyway with them at 15 and 47. But I am surprised that defense has been such an issue. I mean, Nesmith's a good defender. Nembhard's a good defender. Siakam's a good defender. Like, you've got size with Jarris Walker on the perimeter, and you've got Jay Huff who blocks a lot of shots. Like, I know that he may not be a traditional, like, orchestrator, defensive kind of anchor for a team, but it's pretty decent defensive personnel. So what gives, Tony?
I mean, everything's been going bad. Before this game, a lot of the problem was like Nembhard was in and out, Nesmith hurt his ankle, Siakam hurt his wrist. So they had like a lot of lineup non-continuity. So they had a bunch of turnovers every night and a bunch of goofy lineups. And of course those groups are going to suck on defense or throw the ball over the gym. That's like expected bad, even though you'd still like them to be better if you're the Pacers. Of course, they don't really care about winning at this stage, but they'd like to see more progress than this. Tonight, I don't even really know what to say. I mean, they just applied none of their principles in force in a way that these games kind of happen. But when you haven't had a group together for a long time, you'd hope as a team that it's not one of the nights where you just don't have it, right? You'd like to see things click and see some progress and walk out with a 5-point loss and not a gabillion-point loss. And they just had none of it. They couldn't keep Kawhi out of the lane. They were losing cutters behind them all night. Like, guys who were handling it could get wherever they wanted. And so they did show resistance. I don't think Nembhard or Nesmith defended poorly, but as a unit, they were just quite terrible. It was rough.
It's too bad that they have been in this situation. Fortunately, help is coming on the way in the form of next season, where unfortunately it's hard to tell Pacers fans that with a quarter of the season to go, but this will get better. This will 100% get better.
It's March. How's there a quarter of the season left anyway?
Let's transition over to Portland, Memphis. Portland runs away. Actually, didn't really run away. This was a closer game than I think many would have expected. Portland got some really great contributions from Drew Holiday and Jeremy Grant. Donovan Clingan, 12 minutes in this game, got ejected with a flagrant 2. That's a tough one to see for a young guy who's, again, a big man dealing with smaller player and probably should be a little frustrated with it, I think is become the theme of this season in a lot of ways. So it'll be interesting to see how that sort of translates into a playoff setting. But Portland, they have been on the fringes of this play-in conversation in the Western Conference. They have the talent defensively, but they haven't been a good defensive team. Denny Avdia didn't play tonight, but they still were able to score 122. This Memphis team is pretty disappointing, but obviously they have blown up their team in a way that they are not expecting to win a bunch of games. And so I'm not surprised that this is where it got to.
This is a game called this is why you have adults. The Grizzlies had no adults tonight. They played 8 kids. They're trying to develop down the stretch. They didn't score that much. They had 114 points. That's okay. It's not great. The Blazers, meanwhile, here are their young guys. Tumani Kamara, 9. Donovan Clingan, ejected 7. Scoot Henderson, 8. Veet Krejci, he's a little older. He had 3. Blake Wesley had 6. Matisse Thybulle, he's a little older. He had 0. And Sidy Sissoko had 4. So who the heck scored for this team? The adults. Rob Williams, 20 points, 9 for 12 from the field, a double-double with 11 rebounds, 35 and 11 assists for Drew Holiday. How about that for an adult? That's why you go get the vets. And Jeremy Grant, he could still throw it back sometimes. 30-9. The adults, man, they were really good, and that's how Portland gets a win. Memphis does not want to really have adults, so it made the result a little easier for them.
Yeah, it certainly does. I think it's pretty justifiable to where they're at, but it's just another situation where the Grizzlies, they have been dealing with injuries left and right and center for their organization forever. And I don't know if they're ever going to have a fully healthy team at this point. They have, like, Ty Jerome barely played before, and he's out for tonight. Their leading scorer was Jalen Wells. The second leading scorer was Gigi Jackson. Pretty easy and even kind of scoring across the board for them, but it doesn't feel like they are led really well right now. And as a result, you're going to have situations like this where, yeah, Portland separated at the end, and that was all she wrote. So
they're at this point of the season. They should be there, but they are 11th in the West, believe it or not. Portland is 10th. I asked this question about the Bucks. The Bucks are going to try to make it a race. The Grizzlies are not. The top 10 teams in the West are set. Congrats to the Blazers. You'll be playing at least one, maybe multiple relevant games this season.
Yeah, I've no doubt in my mind that is what's going to happen. The Grizzlies are firmly in understanding of where they are at and are going to do the best thing for their organization, which is not to get into the play-in, which Adam Silver is constantly trying to battle now with these teams that are in the 11th, 12th, and 13th seeds in the NBA. So
this is great news. This is what everybody wants to see, man.
Yeah. I mean,
guys, you have to look up how to pronounce their name before it starts. Let's go. NBA hoops.
This is what game night's all about. But hey, we're all the way through, Tony. 6 games on NBA game night tonight. We got through them all. Any final takeaways on the night before we get out of here?
Yeah, the play-in race is going to be maybe the story of the rest of the season, because the way the NBA is now with the play-in existing and the lottery odds flattening, yeah, there's a lot more teams that are tanking this year, but so many teams believe they can do something nowadays, and not every team can. There's going to be 2 West teams, at least, maybe 3, that are very disappointed to lose in the first round, and 2, maybe 3 East teams that are very disappointed to not make the conference finals. And all these races and seeding races are going to materialize with these teams fighting to make or get out of the play-in. And so I like that. Despite the fact that there's 8 tank-tastic teams, the other 22 teams are all jostling for something, and that makes the end at least pretty fun this year.
It will be fun, and we'll have plenty of storylines to watch as the season comes down. Make sure to check out Tony's work at Locked On Pacers. Check out Locked On Nuggets for my work, along with Matt Moore and Swipe It Cam. Everybody have a great day, and make sure to check out the rest of Locked On NBA Game Night.